Dominican national at heart, and Mr. Simeon Joseph. Simeon, good morning. Thanks for waking up early. Not too long ago, you guys went to the polls.
Not too long ago, we went to the polls, and it seems as though I'm not saying that I don't even know what to say at this juncture because of the fact that there has been a dispensation, so to speak, of you could say political opportunism that has led us where we are today. So we might be embarking on another political meandering process again. That's all I can say.
I like how you put it, and we'll go deeper in just a bit. But how much has this announcement come as a surprise to the ordinary Dominican?
Well, maybe to the ordinary Dominican, but to any political observer in Dominica, maybe to the ordinary Dominican. And from what I gather, it has even taken the supporters of the ruling party by surprise, and maybe some supporters of the opposition. But given the usual semantics of the current leader of the country, given the political terrain and background that existed in Dominica, given a number of situations that prevail around the country, any keen political observer in Dominica would not be too surprised. And so based on these realities, one cannot say it has been a surprise at all, because you cannot put past any political action from the current leader of the Dominica Labour Party or the head of the country to expedite and to monopolize, so to speak, on the political reign that he has currently.
Political monopoly. He has reigned for about 22 years, has about 3 years left on this current tenure. We talk about the political strategy that you think this points to, but are there any developments behind the scene internally within the Dominica Labour Party which has maybe forced the hand of Prime Minister Skerrit to call snap elections at this time?
Well, correction. He has been there for 18 years. The Dominica Labour Party has been there for 20 years. Remember, he took over after the death of the late Prime Minister Pierre Charles in 2004. He was Minister of Education then. So that is the situation. But regarding the internal or behind the scenes realities of the Dominica Labour Party, there have been rumors, and that is highly suspect. Now, let us look at political reality, okay? Mm-hmm. There is no government or there's no political party in any country across the world, where certainly when you look at places like Britain, the United States, countries like Jamaica and Trinidad, that does not have its own internal political wranglings and differences. That is part of the nature and the landscape of any political organization. And so therefore, for anyone to suspect that there may have been any behind the scenes things within the Labour Party, I think it speaks of the need to be more real when it comes to the nature of politics. There's no political party that is devoid of internal things behind the scenes. And so one of the things the Labour Party has in Dominica has been very good at is to be able to mask and to be able to shield from the public any internal differences or wranglings, and that can be given as credit to them, unlike the opposition United Workers Party, where you have had many candidates and many people who are quick to show their opposition and their difference and differences of opinion and their differences of position publicly, which has been very unhealthy for the party and which has been very destabilizing both for the leadership, organization and management of the party. And it's a sad reality, and I think that has to a very large extent undermined the confidence in the opposition. That's one thing I'd like to say. Mm-hmm. However, there is no doubt, but on the other hand, if you were to speak to individual members of the Dominica Labour Party, if you are to speak to people in the leadership of the Labour Party, in the organization and management of the Labour Party, many of them would fearfully, with much trepidation, express a lot of discontent, a lot of disappointment, not necessarily with the party, but with the leadership of the Dominica Labour Party. And so they would feel often intimidated and harangued, so to speak, by a very high level of fear if it was ever found out that they were criticizing the Prime Minister or the leadership of the party. So there's a difference there. There's a difference. Members of the opposition, maybe some of them had no regard sometimes for the leadership of the United Workers' Party, and so they felt that it would have been an open landscape for them to be publicly criticizing, without realizing that that is dangerous, destabilizing, and provides a certain level of insecurity to their supporters. That caused a lot of people to be neutral. On the other hand, you had there were many people in the Labour Party. For instance, I was privy to a lot of discussions of labour rights, and so who would express a lot of discontent and worry as to what was happening in the Dominican Labour Party. Roosevelt Skerrit, being the astute politician that he is, Roosevelt Skerrit being that savvy, psychological, I don't want to use the word manipulator, but or opportunist, but someone who knows when to seize the right moment for his political benefit, I suspect, realized a number of certain situations that existed and decided to surprise, not necessarily to surprise those whom he thought he could surprise with a snap election. Because to the best of my knowledge, the opposition were anticipating it. I certainly am aware that the interim leader of the opposition United Workers' Party was aware a day or so before that the elections were going to be called. There were a number of UWP candidates who were alerted, from my understanding, to the fact that this man was going to call an election, and so they were not surprised. I think he sprung it on them when they, from his point of view, seemed to have been disorganized, and so also too, in order to consolidate his reign of power on the UWP, decided to, what he said, obviously create a fresh face for the Labour Party. And so what he has done is maybe encouraged or pushed aside some of the long-standing members of the Dominica Labour Party, like Honorable Ian Douglas and, from my understood, other ministers, and so decided that he's going to put a fresh slate of candidates, as he says, to give the Dominica Labour Party a fresh face. Now, there are many questions that can arise from that, because just 2 years ago,
he gave them
that is the same thing he said.
As the same thing he said.
He got 13 new fresh faces. In 2009, in 2014, every time he spoke, he said he was going to re-energize the Labour Party, reinvent the Labour Party, create a new team that would